What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Hustle and Harmony podcast. This is Emily.
Howdy, this is Julia.
And we are actually together today, which is so fun. We are going to be recording episode 6, and the topic we're going to be talking about today is decision fatigue.
Dun, dun, dun.
We haven't actually talked about this before with each other.
Well, we have a little bit, but I think what actually made me realize that I wanted to dive deeper into this problem is I was listening to an audiobook that I've talked about on one of our previous podcasts, and it's the You Are a Badass at Making Money. Mm-hmm. And it talked about decision fatigue. And I realized that this can apply to every different part of your life because it's obviously something you have to make decisions about whatever you're doing in life. Mm-hmm. So if it's your work, decisions have to be made. If it's what your home looks like, your decisions have to be made. If it's where you're going to spend your free time, are you going to buy the flight to go see the family member at the place? Or are you going to save the money to put the money towards the thing that you needed to buy for your home or for your health or for whatever? So every single thing in your life is a decision that has to be made. And that's exhausting.
And you only get so many every day before you're like, your brain is
you're
like,
just like
I need
tapped
a break.
out. And also, the thought of trying to cut out as many decisions as possible so that you don't get fatigued on the things that aren't important to you, and you can focus on where you really need your brain power to be going. So this got stimulated with all of the conversation we were having about me redoing my condo.
Yeah.
So I'm in this weird period of my life where I was engaged. I'm unengaged now. I thought we were going to be buying a house soon. The condo that I bought, I thought was going to be my little 5-year plan and then rent it out, move into a house. Wasn't going to do anything to the condo. Now I'm at this point where I'm like, well, I don't really want roommates, so I don't want to buy a house and then just have it all sit empty.
Yeah.
And I also realized that with how much I travel, the home needs to be taken care of. And I'm gone so much that the maintenance of owning a property, I've learned a lot about just from having a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that have to be done on a regular basis for you to be efficient with your money. I mean, you don't want things to break and then you have to replace them. You'd rather just take care of it as you go. So now I'm at this point where I'm like, do I just remodel my condo to make it sick where I don't want to leave? Because I come home and I'm in this condo. It's nice, but it's not like all of my dream things, but it's in a location that I love, and I already have my life kind of figured out with my distance to and from places. Yeah, all my systems are figured out. So I started thinking about redoing my floors, redoing my bathrooms, redoing my kitchen, redoing the paint color of everything. Do y'all have any idea how many options there are for like the molding on the edge of a shelf in your closet? There should not be options for that. I'm like, I don't care. So that's been one of the things that has been exhausting, trying to make decisions about that should be fun. Like this isn't my work. This is supposed to be the fun thing. And so I've had conversations with our parents about it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it's helpful to just talk it through with someone else, which I feel like is why it was helpful when mom and dad came to visit and kind of forced you to have the conversations and have some people come in and look at it and give you options and make some decisions, because you did. You remodeled your closets and they look amazing. But you kind of decided to section it off instead of trying to do it all at once, which is just smart.
But it's weird because everything has to kind of be done in a certain order. So there are things that I'm confident that I want. I know I want all the carpet floors changed to wood, and it's wood already in the main rooms, but in the bedrooms it's carpet. So I was like, okay, I know I want this. But then the question come, okay, well, if you want to redo your bathrooms, then you don't want to have to redo the floors first because they're going to get messed up by all the construction going to and from the bathrooms. So I was like, okay, well, now I have to figure out bathrooms first. And then you just like start adding on all of these things. And my parents they designed and built our childhood home that we grew up in Houston from literally just blueprints. Like they just designed it with, I guess, the contractor, and we're like, this is what we're going to do.
They have really cute stories of them like living in their townhouse. And they described they had this little sliding door for the closet.
Yeah.
And they had the little blueprints kind of shoved up in the crevice of the top of the door, and they would wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, run over with their little pen, mark it up, and then go back to bed just as they thought of things and they designed it together. And it was the home that we all got to grow up in together. So we've got some high standards for having a homey home. That we feel good returning to and feel safe in.
Yeah. And this is obviously us like trying to figure out adulting, you know, and you've had to design your apartments and decorate it, but you
I basically just didn't design
it. Well, your roommate really did a lot of it. It was very homey in there.
The middle of my apartment is really cute, and it's thanks to my roommates.
Yeah.
I provided the couch, and that's it.
Yo, couches are everything. My couch makes my condo also. So big couch girls here.
Can I tell a funny story really quick?
Yeah.
So my roommate Georgia, I know I've talked with her before. She's amazing. She printed out all of these really famous artworks, like Picasso, famous paintings, and they're all the same size. And she bought frames and framed the prints that she had printed out. My teammates all came over to watch a movie one time, and I think it was one of my freshmen. I was like, wow, these are so pretty. Like, that's so nice. Where are they from? And I was like, thank you so much. Georgia hand-painted them all herself. And they believed me. Like, half the team believed me, like, you know, the freshmen.
Yeah.
And then all the seniors were just like, and they looked at me, and I was dead, like, no smile. Like, I said it straight face to them. And for the next 10 seconds, just let it sit. And then the seniors were like, you're lying. It was so funny because there's no way, like, they're the most famous paintings that have ever existed in history.
Yeah.
But it was.
It's like the Mona Lisa.
It was a good time. You had to be there, but.
That's hilarious. Also,
decorating apartments is hard.
It's so hard. And I'm realizing, so the reason I brought up that book, the audio book that I'm listening to, is because she said something in there about eliminating certain things in your life so that you can focus on the thing you're the most worried about. And she was like, there are going to be things you have to make decisions on. But just do it. Just make the decision and go forward. Like, stop dragging your feet on stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I've never been so called out. Like, why are you being so rude to me right now?
When literally yesterday, you were like,
yes.
What do I do with the deciding?
We've been having this conversation. I mean, the breakup was last August.
Yeah. I've
been having this conversation since probably October.
Yeah.
Where I've been like, what should I do with my condo? Like,
yeah.
Girl, get it together. She added me. Like, it was wild, like, listening to her just yell at me in this book. But I've realized that is also something that's very hard for me. Making decisions is scary because you don't want to make the wrong decision, and there's always something at stake. So when it comes to decor, the thing at stake is my time and my money. Obviously, everything costs money, and if you have to redo it, it's going to cost twice the money. But I also don't have very many days in Nashville. So I only have these tiny little windows to try and get big things done. And it's like, if this doesn't go right, I don't have another section of time to dedicate to it. So I really need to just like it. So basically what I need to do is, like, decide something that no matter what, I'm just going to, at least for the next 2 years, that's how it's going to be. And I can revisit it later. But it's not just taking up my time right now in the designing. It's taking up my time in my brain.
Yeah.
My brain space isn't going towards things that it needs to be going towards, because I'm constantly like, I walk into my room and I'm like, it just doesn't feel good in here. Like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with my room. But it's like,
You've also changed a lot since you first designed it.
I never painted it. No, it's still the paint color, this weird paint color from when I bought it.
It's dark.
It's not a bad color, but it's like this dark green blue.
Yeah.
Like the depths of the ocean. And when I first got there, I was like, this is kind of cool. I've never had a fun color in my room before. I've always done like tan or white. And I was like, this is a fun change for me.
Fun fact, Julia's room growing up for her 13th birthday party, did you have to, like, beg mom and dad to do this?
I don't think it was that hard to convince them, because I think they thought they were just going to be able to paint over it.
So my parents let her, for her 13th birthday, she got all these markers, and they're probably paint markers, and all her friends...
No, they're Sharpie. Dude, they're markers. Like,
they're
just
Sharpies.
markers, yeah.
And all her friends came up in her room and signed her wall. So naturally, we had to, like, put some decor over some of the
inappropriate signatures.
PG things people had written on the wall.
Well, it didn't start out bad because that original sleepover was all little 13-year-old girls. But as I grew up, we never fixed the wall. So it just
never stopped styling it.
It stayed my autograph wall. So every time we had parties at the house, which our home became kind of like all our friends would come over, guy friends too. Even her friends have signed my wall. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You come over to the house, like, have you signed the wall yet? So everybody would go upstairs, and then there were a couple of, when we would start having parties, people were like drinking, people would draw things on the wall that
you can imagine.
Dad could not see. Big Steve could not see this on the wall. So we're like trying to cover things up. They're like turning things into dog bones on the wall, like trying to fix everything. But yes, it was and I've convinced my parents to just leave it like that for whenever the grandkids eventually or little kids will be there. It's like playroom. I think they'll love to have a little, I'm sure they're going to write on the wall and destroy it. But
what I wanted to say, though, is now that you're having this shift in thought of I need to make decisions, something that I get asked a lot, like when I do panels or whatever about NIL, is how do you balance everything? And every time I'm like, first of all, I don't have it figured out. No one has it figured out. Balance is an ever-changing thing you've got to work on every single day. But something that
it's helps. That little triangle with the board on it just teetering. And like, you're sometimes this way and sometimes this way.
But what I usually like to answer, obviously first, is like getting enough sleep. And I think that helps with everything. But batching, getting stuff done. So what you're saying is I usually have a couple days back in Nashville, but when you go back to Nashville, you have rights and stuff planned.
Yeah.
You've got to have a 4-day stint or whatever in Nashville where you're like, I cannot book anything else because this is my 4 days to focus all in on this. And even if it's just scheduling it and then they can come in and do it later while you work, that's different. So I was just talking about batching and how that can be something to kind of help you focus on this and make these decisions because it can be so overwhelming. Yeah. And I know a book that we both read a while ago is The 4-Hour Workweek, and it talks about this, and it's a lot of like Instagram entrepreneurial hubbub topics. It's
hubbub is crazy.
It's all about deep work and having really focused, intentional work hours. So like even in our Opal app, there's like you can turn on the 3-hour deep work session in the afternoon, but batching your to-dos and really focusing in on one thing at one time so you're way more efficient. I mean, everyone knows how that is. Everyone who's done a school assignment knows how once you've gotten started, that's the hardest part. Yeah. And then once you get into the groove and you've been doing it for an hour or so, then you're just doing things so much more efficiently.
And there's truth to the theory of whatever work will expand to fill the time it is allowed and allotted to expand into. So if you give yourself 20 minutes for a task, you will somehow, by the grace of God, figure it out in 20 minutes. Yeah. But if you give yourself 6 months, for me, almost a year now, to get a task done, you will just drag your feet and take the entire time. Yeah. So, and even the book You Are Badass at Making Money, like literally the chapter I'm listening to where I felt so called out, she said the exact same. It was that thing. We've always talked with Mom about that. And she was like, how many times did you have an essay that was 10,000 words you had to have done in 4 hours? Yeah. You just do it. You figure it out somehow, some way. You just, like, your brain goes.
Well, and we had to learn how to do that because of sports. Because we were so busy. We knew that 1 hour was the 1 hour we had to do our homework assignment. And so we were focused on it. But it's crazy growing up and realizing the systems that you didn't even realize you had when you were younger that helped you be successful in whatever it was.
I was a morning girl. Because we would have games till late. Yeah. So I would wake up at 3 a.m. if I had a test because I knew no one was going to distract me. I was like, I will get up at 3 a.m. and I will have between 3 and 6. And that's going to be my 3-hour crunch period because no one's going to call me, text me. There's nothing fun I'm missing out on. I know I'll focus.
I was the complete opposite. I would stay up until 3. I remember going downstairs at like midnight, getting a giant bowl of Lucky Charms, coming upstairs, pounding
ready for the grind,
studying for like 2 hours, and basically falling asleep at my desk. So similar thing. People aren't bothering you in the night hours. It's easier to get deep work done. But that's why people turn off their phones during their deep work hours or whatever. But back to you designing your condo, I think something else kind of on a similar page to help you narrow it down and focus is just writing down the decisions that you need to make for it and checking them off as you complete them. so you can see your progress and you can know when you're done.
Yeah, because I've already gone through so many like back and forths, but I didn't really take note on any of it. So now I feel like I'm back to square one because it's been 2 months since I thought about it because I've just been doing touring and doing other things. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, why don't you just hire someone to design your place? I have literally worked with someone to come design my place. They still need all of these answers from me. They still they need direction. And I even had someone send me this whole like, not mood board. I can't think of what it's called, but basically like a mock-up of what it will look like. And I was like, that's not it. But I can't fully tell you exactly why. And I just need, because it's weird being particular about it, but also knowing that I'm not that picky, but I just know what I like and don't like. So it's weird.
It's also something you've never had to do before.
Yeah.
And I know everyone listening who's like designed a home is like, good luck when you have an entire house you have to redesign.
God bless America.
But you're doing exactly what you need to do, which is just looking at a bunch of different options. Yeah. And then you can figure out what you like and why, but it takes time.
I like your checklist though. I definitely need to make a written list of all the different things that I've had to talk, because it's do I want floor to ceiling tile? What kind of tile? Do I want glass on the outside of the shower? Do I want to change both sinks in both bathrooms so they match? Or do I really not care about the guest bathroom and I just I need to make decisions and stick with them instead of being like, I just keep going back and forth on it.
Well, and what's crazy too, like the topic of decision fatigue is if you're trying to do this after having made 100 decisions and your brain is out. It's
cashed.
all I've got energy for is some Netflix right now. You're trying to design a condo and it's not happening. So
that's so true.
It all goes back to decision fatigue. Like you only have a certain amount of focus for the day and you've got to choose what you want to spend it on.
How do you balance, because this is something very hard for me, how do you balance running your company and working on your sport with the life tax of being an adult, aka all of the bills you have to figure out? And I'm not talking about the money of it, I'm talking about the admin of just the things you have to take care of, whether it's picking up medicine from a pharmacy or whether it's making sure you went to the P.O. box to pick up the packages, or your toilet stopped working and you have to call the plumber, or you needed to buy a new washer and dryer, whatever the things are that are just the life tax of being an adult. How do you balance that with the things that are your actual like passion and work? Because I have a hard time with that.
Well, one of the things that Dad and I spoke about on the back porch too was, because running takes up so much time for me, as soon as I have time that's not running, I want to attack that to-do list of life things, and instead of using that time to rest. And so then I'm like not having time to actually rest.
But you have to do the life things. Like no one's going to be like, it's fine, you're tired, don't do your taxes.
Exactly. And so anyways, it's like having to plan in time to rest too, and I haven't planned in a vacation or rest time in 2 years. So no wonder I'm a little burnt out right now and want some time, and like I'm giving that to myself. But to answer that question, I don't have it figured out, obviously.
I don't.
Because I am someone who I have gotten so used to operating alone. I've been single for 5 years now, that whenever I come home from stuff, I'll just like get things done and keep being productive.
Yeah.
And so I'm still learning that. And I think that one of the things that helps is only focusing on getting a few things done each day, and maybe having like one personal thing along with that that's not having to do with work. But I oftentimes will have my to-do list of 12 things that I want to get done, and then every day is like, oh, you didn't complete it. Oh, you didn't complete it. And I actually got these...
I have the same thing.
Yeah. And I actually got these cute little journals from this brand called Ink and Volt. It was one of those Instagram ads that just got me. And they have really organized journals. One is like a desk dashboard for your whole month, and one is like a today to-do list, and one is a this week to-do list. And they're all like throwaway one page type of things, but they really help you organize and focus how you want to break down your goals for that week. And the one for, I'm pretty sure today, is like, what are your three tasks you want to get done today? what's your like one big item. It's like a 3-3-3 philosophy that I've seen people talk about. It's 3 things you want to accomplish that day, 1 bigger thing that might take 3 hours, 3 medium things, and 3 quick tasks. And the quick tasks are like easy dopamine hits, like easy, you got these things done.
Yeah, like finish your dishes.
Yeah, or putting in a service request for getting things fixed in your apartment. But you can't have 3 big 3-hour tasks on one day.
Don't take that for granted. Once you own your own place, there's no service request.
You gotta fix it yourself.
You're on the phone with the plumber.
Yeah.
Big game changer. But I will say one thing that I've done to make myself feel better about all of the seemingly unimportant tasks that we have to get done is I still put them in my calendar. So even if it was really like, smart. Even if I've already, so if I just spent the last 4 hours doing stuff and it all feels dumb, like I feel like I wasn't doing anything big, but it was like checking emails, checking my bank statement for whatever, some call that could have been fraud but wasn't, or making sure that I have the right, someone needed login information for a new platform or what, all these little things that none of them feel important, so you don't really put them on your calendar. I will put on a block on my calendar and I will just start typing all of the little things.
I love that.
And so I will be able, like, I can look back at last week and instead of being like, there's just this whole gap on Wednesday afternoon, what the heck? And it's like, no, that entire span, it's like you reviewed 4 mixes that were in your emails. You set up 4 co-writes that were all in your emails. Whereas I would have just been like, oh, I checked emails.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you did all of these things while doing that.
I love that.
And so that's one thing that I keep in my, like, I'm an iCal girly. I live by iCal and I live with Google Sheets and Google Docs. Like, I swear by it, eat, sleep, breathe it. So my iCal, I also will have a daily task, and it's on my personal calendar, not on my shared calendar with my team or anything. But it's where I keep my long-ass to-do list of just, like, all the things that you'll return your outfit to Forever 21, make your Amazon drop off at Whole Foods, like whatever.
The non-priority
the things that are just like not going to go away until you do them, but they're so annoying. So I have that list up there, and sometimes like as I complete those things, I'll drop them into that later category of like, this is what you did during this span of time. Yeah. But it's a repeating daily event, and every time you add something to it, it adds to all of your stuff to the future. So that's kind of my to-do list that's on my everyday.
That's so smart.
And I can like turn that calendar off if I don't want to see it, but I don't mind it like being there. It's just on my personal thing, and it's just because there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, you ran out of hairspray, and it's not hairspray you're going to pick up at the grocery store. I'm not going to add it to the grocery list. I need to set aside time to go to the website where I order this from.
Yeah.
And they're just these little things that you remember when I'm on the way to a show or something, and it's like, oh shoot, okay, go to my calendar, add it to the little thing, and it's already on my calendar for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, I just had so many different ideas of things I want to say right now. So, first of all,
we're such nerds. This is like the most excited thing we've ever talked about. We're like, organization.
But I love the way you said you post hoc go in and put it in, rather than being like, I need to plan out what 30-minute segments I'm going to do each of these things in. Yeah. Post hoc, you are like, okay, these are the things that I got done.
You don't know how long you're going to wait on hold with the dumb person from the place where you had to get the thing fixed at, and you're like, come on, this took us 60 minutes? Like,
and it shouldn't have. Yeah.
I thought this was a 15-minute task.
So, 3 things. 1, I also love you can go back on your calendar and see it. The way I have my like big to-do list right now, which I actually don't like, is I got these nice expo markers and I have a to-do list on my bathroom mirror. And I also have, a cute quote and, mantras and whatever, but I've got this to-do list, and I have gotten to the point now where as I'm trying to realize that having balance is not my biggest strength,
that be the first thing you see in the morning.
Yeah, you wake up, it's like stress. These are the 20 things you need to get done.
You're also not home.
Yeah, I'm not home.
So it's like not a consistent thing you can look at.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm planning to erase that whenever I get back.
Keep the quotes up. Those are cute. Yeah,
but
motivation.
Also, kind of on that topic is having your home be a space for rest and recharging, and not a place of work. And I know Mom and Dad spoke about that a lot, and it's really helpful to not be an entrepreneur, because when you're an entrepreneur, you kind of work wherever you are. And I will always come home and be like, oh, I'm going to work in the kitchen. But my roommate, Charlotte, so smart. She's in engineering, on the rowing team, on the dance team, literally did everything. She's the most productive queen and so kind. And she would not work at home. If she wanted to work at home, she would go to the study room in our apartment complex.
Cool.
She was like, I will not work because this is my recharge space. And I loved that and I respected it, but it wasn't something that I felt like I needed.
Yeah, it's just figuring out what works for you.
And now I'm like, I want to do that.
Good for you.
So it's so cool. Yeah.
I personally, I have so much computer work to do that I want to be on my couch doing it, because a lot of times it is like hours and hours of something, whatever that might be.
Is very valuable.
And I would rather be comfy. And I think I also spend so much time away from home that I have a very different relationship with home.
It's also not your bedroom. Like you're in the living room.
I don't mind even doing work from
your bedroom.
Yeah, like it's not a hard thing for me to separate, because I'm just like so happy to be home that like nothing in the world can ruin it for me. I'm like, this is my couch. I have my blanket. I can go get tea as soon as I want to. All the snacks I want.
Salmon and peas.
Honestly, it's about the snacks. Like all the snacks are here. If I go anywhere else, the snacks are not there.
Well, the amount of times that we've stayed at home at your place and been like, this is making us so much happier than going out ever could have.
Yeah.
And it's so efficient, and we can be on your comfy couch and watch our TV show.
And we work. We'll like do a ton of work, but it's like we have everything that we like make our comfort items, whether that be our, even just like each other's company or like the food, snacks, everything we could think of, we've got it at our fingertips. Putting your feet up
on the couch and actually relaxing, which you can't, even if you do go to a coffee shop to work.
You can't like kick your feet up.
Yeah.
So like there's balance, but some people who maybe don't have that control and will stay up till 3 a.m. on their laptop working, which we've both been known to do, but I guess we've figured out a way to kind of shut that down a little bit. For me, it's part of why like I love this book club that we have going. That's something I always try to do before I go to sleep, and I've tried doing it on the road too, because at least there's a little bit of a routine in my life with no routine. And it's like wherever I'm about to go to sleep, at least like 10, 15 minutes I can dedicate to a book. And it gives me some sense of normalcy, which is fun.
Well, and I think that's something, too, that people talk a lot about is how important it is to have a morning and a wind-down routine. And obviously, it's more important for you being on the road with that, too. But even people who are in the same home, it's really helpful to help your body recognize this is the same thing we're doing every night. Okay, it's time to wind down.
This was not part of our plan, but I feel like you should tell people about your blue light glasses, because this is such a wind down thing.
So, for those on YouTube, I'll show you actually. I have 2 pairs, and
these are her Elton John glasses, I call them.
Yeah, actually, I actually don't know where my red ones are.
Let me put them on. You find your red ones. So basically these glasses, they protect against blue light from screens. And apparently your circadian rhythm gets kind of messed up by staring at too much light before you go to sleep. Yeah. And this blocks the rays that would ruin your circadian rhythm and stop you from having your melatonin start being produced. Am I right?
You crushed it.
Woo! I passed the test. And I'm so happy right now.
I found them.
And she found the glasses.
Yay. Okay, so we have them on. This is literally free marketing for RA Optics.
They look so much cuter on. Like,
what do you mean, than sitting on the table?
Well, when you're looking, so I originally didn't really like these glasses, but
they make the world prettier.
They make the world look kind of cool.
Because they're yellow. No, I so agree. Okay, so let me explain.
Those are a little scary to me.
The red ones are for before bed, and the way I describe it is if you ever used an instant kettle that boils your water and it has that blue light, if you put on these red glasses, you literally cannot see the blue. It just doesn't show up. So the red light glasses...
It does turn the whole world like red. Though. Like,
yeah.
The screen is red to me right now.
So the red light glasses are for before bed to actually block out the blue light, because blue light is what suppresses your body's production of melatonin and helping you be able to wind down and go to sleep. And so that's the whole, like the main pillars of having a good circadian rhythm and having good sleep health is waking up in the morning and getting 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight, because it signals to your body, You can look at Dr. Andrew Huberman's research on it, and there's a actual real scientific explanation from him talking about how your eye receptors signal to your entire body and change everything that's going on just because you saw sunlight. It's crazy. And someone used a light detector indoors versus outdoors, even when it was cloudy, and it was not even close to comparable how much brighter it was, even on a cloudy day, just going outside. So that's really cool. Morning and then nighttime not having blue light because it signals to your body to start producing melatonin. And we used to all be outside and not have artificial light. And
when the sun went down, you went to sleep.
Yeah.
Like lighting a candle could only get you to do so much.
And the specific sunset sun rays are really good for your circadian rhythm too. Like watching the sunset is actually extremely good for your sleep health because it signals to your body to go to sleep. It's so cool. I'm such a nerd.
Science.
Anyways, so yeah, I like wearing these glasses and it helps you kind of wind down before bed, especially if you still have to do a couple things on your laptop or whatever. But.
I know we wanted to talk a little bit about also relationship fatigue, past the decision-making fatigue, because it does kind of tie hand in hand. And I obviously was in a long-term, pretty unhealthy relationship. And after it was called off, I realized so much of my time and energy was going towards babysitting this relationship that I wasn't using that brain power towards my career, my dreams, my own health, like any of these things. Okay. And it's so wild because sleep was one of the biggest problems. Like we had completely different
sleep schedules,
like totally different. And even if it was like, we were obviously long distance, so we weren't even in the same place, but I would try to stay up late to get a FaceTime call or something like that. And
time zone change.
Time zones were different. And the, baseball leagues he was playing in, like at one point he was playing in these Mexican baseball leagues where the games didn't end until like 2 a.m. Yeah. Or I guess over there it was they ended at midnight. Yeah. And then all of the wind down, get back to some place where you could actually get on a FaceTime call. It's like at my place, it's 2 a.m. before I even start the call. And so there were so many things that I also needed to get out of in that relationship just for my own, like, schedule health, because I was not sleeping, like, at all.
It has been really, I don't know what the right word is. It's been cool to see you grow so much and just go back to being yourself now and just look and feel so much healthier. Because you're not constantly carrying so much stress. Yeah. And like what you're talking about, having the ability to put that energy towards your career, it's also putting that energy towards your other relationships in your life. It's decision fatigue. It's just you only have a certain amount of energy each day. And the amount of energy that was sapping from you, it's so crazy how big of an effect it has on your health.
It was wild how miserable I felt all the time. And it wasn't all directly because bad things were happening in the relationship, but it was just my health as a whole.
And the stress.
It wasn't the right situation for me. And it's so hard. And I'm sure everybody who's ever gone through a breakup, like if there are some good pieces of the relationship, you try to make all the bad things work. And that's part of what figuring out who your person is. It's no one's perfect. So you're going to have to pick pros and cons. What can I live with? What can I deal with? Something that I've learned is going to be very important to me with whoever my life partner is sleep preferences. And I'm a morning person. So it wasn't even necessarily the fact that games or something was happening intentionally that he would rather be up all hours of the night and I would rather be up early in the morning. But just the activities that you want to do during the day are actually pretty different based on if you're a morning person or a nighttime person. And as a musician, I know it's super weird that I'm a morning person, but I love everything about the morning. I just think it's the best part of the day. And so I need to be with someone who also is excited about the morning happening, because it was like every day I'd be excited about the morning happening and get on a phone call with him. He's just like pissed he had to wake up or whatever. And
or like
these are
wanted to
always
keep
phone
sleeping.
calls or FaceTime calls, yeah. But or wanted to, just
Until, like,
stay
2.
asleep.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an annoying
Which is not something you, like, think of when you're initially starting to date someone. Like,
yeah.
But
I can deal with that. It's just a sleep schedule. It's every day of your life.
Yeah.
Like, it's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So that I've learned. So morning people out there, call me. We've got to get to the book club section and Q&A. So my book club answer for this will be short because I just started a new book. And it's interesting because I've had it at my house forever. I used to be signed to an agency called CAA, Creative Artist Agency, and they rep talent who are producers, actors, athletes, models, kind of whatever you can think of. They represent clients in that area. Mm-hmm. And essentially broker deals for musicians really touring, and then it's a different type of agency for like athletes where they're more negotiating the contracts with the teams that are signing the athletes, signing bonuses, those types of things. So anyway, this company, they have offices all over the world. They might be the largest agency in the world. I think they are, actually.
Wow.
And so I'm just starting out on this book, but it's pretty cool because the way that I told you I've been reading and digesting all this information on, European history or on fashion. Like I read the House of Gucci book, and it doesn't just tell you the tea and the drama of the family, but it gives you the entire business layout from founding to now who the owners are, of how it got in every business transaction. The company splits, new formations, going international, department stores to their own brick and mortars, to like all of this really cool deep information. That's what this story is for CAA, and it seems to me like the author's really trying to make it like tea based, like what happened, why CAA is the way it is, and it's kind of painted in a way that like everybody are sharks and like everybody's doing this and this is how this happened, and I can't wait to like read it like a story, watch it like a movie, because it definitely feels different than just being like...
It's a big book,
it's
too.
A fat
I
book.
Saw her reading it, I was like, dang.
And I don't know what I expected when I got it. I think I was just excited to be signed to an agency, and I was like, I'm going to get this book. But it's not like an informational textbook on what CAA does, even though it does have that information in it. It's more about
the history,
who screwed over who, and how did they become the biggest, baddest in the world, and beat their competitors, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I just started it. I don't have much information for it yet, but I'll circle back.
I love it. Okay, so my book for the week is called Am I Normal? And
we talked about
it's actually really funny because it's a book that my teammate Emina gave me.
It's a mirror.
Well, I mean, it's kind of blurry.
No, but it's literally a mirror. Like, it's a mirror that you hold. Like, that's the point. That's so fun.
Sorry, for YouTube people, you can actually see the cover of the book right now.
Or Instagram, maybe, but...
Yeah. So, I got this as a gift from one of my teammates. She literally is so sweet, and she was coming home from...
Emina's the best.
She was coming back to Durham and saw it in the airport, and she was like, I just thought of you and wanted to get this for you. And I'm only, like, a chapter in, but I've loved it so far. It's all about how... literally no one is, quote, normal, and how they didn't even start using the word normal in, like, medical and terminology in relation to humans until, I think, the 1900s, like 1800s, very recently. And it's all about how a lot of the research of what the norms are for humans is based off of weird people being an acronym, all caps, Western, educated. I'm just going to read the quote. In 2010, 3 North American behavioral scientists suggested that the subsection of the world's population from which today's scientific norms are drawn, which differs surprisingly little from the groups studied by 19th century scientists, might be the weirdest people in the world. People from weird, that is, Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic societies, make up just 12% of the world's population, but 96% of subjects in psychology studies and 80% in medicine.
Wow.
They are assumed to be white, even when they are not, because white is supposed to be a neutral category as far as science and medicine is concerned. and it goes into how they usually use men for scientific studies as well, because women are too complicated with their hormones, and so you can't control for all the different factors. It's so cool. So I'm just in the beginning, but I'm loving it, and thank you, Emina, for this book.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, so now we're going into our Q&A section, and if you want to leave questions for us to answer in future episodes, go click the link in the description for the show notes for this episode, and you can go in and you can actually leave voice memos. So in the future, we'll be able to play your questions, which is super cool, and answer them on the show.
You'll be part of the podcast.
But for now, we've just got a couple of Q&As on the Instagram, which we're going to ask each other. So I'm going to start with Julia.
Okay.
From Tim Lamaster, best and worst touring stories. Speed round, because we've got like a few minutes.
Okay, best and worst touring stories. I think I'll give one of each. So I think one of my favorite tours that I've been on, obviously the spicy tour I'm doing right now it's my favorite tour ever, because this is the first time in my life that I've had people showing up at my shows who know every word, not just to like one song, like my catalog of songs. And this has never happened before. So I've never really been headlining.
So
So
cool.
the people showing up aren't showing up for someone else after me. They came to see my show. Even if it's 100 people, it's like the coolest thing I've ever experienced. And then meeting them after is just iconic. But prior to this spicy tour, the coolest tour story I think would have to be opening for Dan and Shay in Traverse City, Michigan at Cherry Fest. I was the direct opener, so there's just, 8,000 people out there in front of us. Dan and Shay, it's the night Tequila went #1, and the album was #1. And so we're all in the VIP section. I'm the opener, so I'm done with my set. We just get to party the rest of the night. So we're sitting there having tequila shots in the VIP section, and then all of these like the entire show, all of these boats are docked up watching from the water. So there's also like 1,000 people probably watching from out in the
That is
it was
sick.
so cool. And then at the end of the night, Shay, Mooney, and I are friends
I wish
from
I had
Nashville.
been there.
I know, I do too. We ended up going to all the little bars in this town in Traverse City, and we got behind the bar and we're like bartending. So it was like people knew who we were, but we were just like kind of safe behind the bar.
That is so fun.
So we were like pouring shots for people and hanging out behind the bar, and the bars all kind of closed early in that town, and they had bus call to like leave for the next city. But it was still just one of the most fun tour experiences. And
I
then
love that.
Worst tour story would definitely be the beginning of a few weeks ago, whenever there were some canceled shows, and I was just devastated about not getting to meet the people who had bought tickets. Like, I was just lost my cool. I was so sad.
Well, and you'd gotten messages from them being like, I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah, one of
them.
them, it was like one of the shows was finally not an 18 and up show, and this woman had come to 3 shows in a row. Like, she was traveling to every city I was going to, and she was like, I finally get to bring my 9-year-old daughter to this one. And the show was canceled. And obviously I was able to message her on Instagram, but most people, I didn't have their information, because their information just goes to the promoter. Like, I don't have their email address, so I can't say, I'm so sorry, I want to send you a free shirt or whatever. And there was nothing I could do about it. So that's the worst thing that's happened for sure. It was canceled.
Yeah.
So my question for you, actually, Caro.C356's question for you is, how did Emily get started in NIL deals?
That is a great question, and it wasn't a clean start or switch. I think it was definitely a gradual process. The first thing was Julia telling me to get a TikTok. So I got a TikTok and everything went viral. My first big viral thing was definitely with Mitchell. And I remember doing a video for this TikTok contest for Icon Source, where just the video that had their hashtag on it, you could make your video about whatever you wanted. The one who had that hashtag and got the most views would win this $10,000 TikTok contest. And I made some TikTok about me and Mitchell, and it went viral, and so I won the contest. And after
rolling in that big dough,
it was pretty cool. And like, I had a news reporter come to Duke and interview me about it, and so that was kind of when it first became something bigger for me. And I actually met my agent, Mike, through Raymond Representation through that contest, because he repped the person who got like 3rd.
That's cool.
And I think he just like commented on my story and was like, congrats or something like that. And I responded back and was like,
he said, I want to cut of that 10K. Work with me.
I said, like, thank you so much. Is there any chance you'd be able to hop on a phone call at any point and just help me learn more about this space, because I don't know much about it. And he obviously had built up the agency and repped a bunch of athletes already. And we hopped on a phone call and just immediately hit it off.
He's really cool. He's really smart. And he has your best interests at heart.
Yeah. And so we immediately were like, we obviously definitely want to work together. And then I had already gotten a few deals off of the ground just from people in my DMs or reaching me via email. But getting to work with them really helped things get off the ground and get started to go much faster because I wasn't having to do the back and forth with the companies anymore. So those were definitely the first things that happened, and then having an agency to help me do that. And also they've got companies that just come to them now and are like, hey, do you have a few athletes that could help us with this campaign? So that's kind of how I got started with it, and it grew to way more than I could have ever imagined, especially being an Olympic athlete. It's been really cool to show that athletes who aren't in basketball and football can still really help set themselves up and create a platform for themselves to help them continue on after college.
Shout out to the NIL Scholar Athlete Winner of the Year, Emily Cole.
Thanks.
I know if y'all go look at her Instagram, you'll see the post that talks about it. It was like a really huge deal at the NIL Summit. But we really do have to go. Yeah. So love y'all so much. We will see you on the next episode of Hustle and Harmony. Thank you for listening. We miss you already.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode of Hustle and Harmony.
Please leave us a 5-star review or comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on socials at Julia Cole Music and at Emily Cole.
We'll love you forever either way, and we can't wait to see y'all next week.
See y'all then.